I mean, sun sign astrology works well enough to do. I wouldn't pin my life on it, but people need a context for what's happening, particularly at the moment. There is nothing worse than chaos and uncertainty, and no handrails, as it were. So astrology can offer those handrails.
Yes, it's true. I mean, I do think that, certainly astrology gives you, first of all, context, a wider context in which to put your own situation or what's happening in the world and to see iterations of it in the past. And also it gives a sense of meaning, I think, and almost anything is bearable if you feel as though the experience has meaning.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true. And if you, I mean, the book you mentioned at the beginning, it changed my life, that book, because doing the research for it, if you look at the recurring patterns over the last 2,000 years of history where astrology coincided with major events, it gives you something to hang on to when you get to the present type of turmoil, because you can see in the past where it moved on, it made things better, it made things worse, but life always moves on. It never gets stuck in the one place. And I think the problem at the moment is everybody thinks it's the worst time ever in the history of the universe, and we're going to be here for the rest of our lives, kind of thing. And it's not true. We are shifting on.
Yes, I think that's very true. And I think it's, partially due to the sort of siloing, solipsistic effect of social media, which does tend to, I think it's induced a little bit of myopia, the perma crisis, that this is the worst thing that's ever happened ever in the history. And yes, I think astrology helps to give perspective.
I think it breeds hysteria. And the mainstream media don't help because they've started to go left and right. When I started as a journalist, as I'm sure was true with you, it wasn't professional to have political opinions. The journalists were the outsiders, the ones who were detached, who could see a situation in terms of balance. But that's all gone now, and it really does not improve life for people. And of course, a lot of people only ever get their news off social media. I can't imagine why, but it gives you little echo chambers of things that prop up your own delusions and biases, and that is not helpful. You need to read right across and be open-minded, but people have lost this capacity to be open-minded, which means admitting mistakes. It means looking at situations and saying both sides are wrong and both sides may be right as well. So it's about complexity.
Yes, that is very true. And again, I think polarization is another side effect of social media and the algorithms that amplify very extreme viewpoints. And so people have learned that those get more airtime, they get more clicks, they get more engagement. And you're right, what it has done is it's polarized. So people are either sort of on one side or the other. But yes, I agree with you. I also was taught when I went to journalism school that, you try to present the facts and you try to be as balanced as possible. You give each side a fair hearing and maybe you try to get quotes from a spokesperson for both sides. And then you let the audience make up their own minds. But that capacity does seem to have disappeared, particularly in the last decade or so. I think now opinion-led journalism, sort of op-eds and editorial, tends to be more the norm rather than reporting.
Well, and we can blame Neptune and Pisces for part of it, which was 2012 to just very recently, because Neptune is a fantasist. And I think that's been a problem with the news. It's gone off fact. Well, it's not always that easy to establish fact, but it's gone off into delusions and fantasies and conspiracy theories. And we can blame that heartily. I've never been so pleased when Neptune exited Pisces fairly recently. So we can heave a sigh of relief that a lot of what was around right through the last decade was just distorting people's minds.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes deliberately. I mean, we kind of know now about bad actors working through bot armies and things to try and push certain viewpoints on social media. And of course, the algorithms themselves, which were monetizing outrage, which didn't help. But yes, I agree with you. I think Neptune and Pisces, particularly towards the end, you could see that the 24-hour news cycle had become fictionalized almost. It became like reality TV, where you had to invent these perma crises in order to keep the story going and to keep people scrolling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Neptune's a very misunderstood planet. I mean, it is very creative, very imaginative, but of course it lies very well. But I think as an astrologer, you tend to look on Neptune as a rather wimpy kind of energy, and it can be really strong.
And sort of very seductive. I mean, I was very struck when I read a book by Anna Wiener about Silicon Valley. And she actually used the word in the subtitle seduction. That there was something very seductive about social media, this idea that, you know, everybody could have a voice and we were going to democratize knowledge and, you know, all these sort of wonderfully utopian ideas, which can fit a little bit with Neptune. But it can also be a sales pitch. It can also be a way to sort of seduce people into what we now know was a very deceptive environment where they were taking your data, they were essentially getting you to work for free. Whilst earning a lot of ad revenue, you know, at your expense. And that a lot of the utopian gambits were actually just marketing ploys. So
if you get the money, of course, it was a combination of Neptune and Pisces and Pluto in Capricorn, which is very much the money men. And once the money men get in, it wrecks every industry. They wrecked Hollywood, they wrecked, you know, this, that, and the other. So it's been a combination. But I mean, life has always been thus.
I mean, I do think this court case is quite interesting. In terms of that, the social media ruling at in that California court recently, where they managed to prove that social media algorithms did actually play a part in in how people not just people's mental health, but also what they were seeing, and that the algorithms amplify exactly these sort of very bigoted, extreme, unpleasant, outrageous viewpoints, rather than the reasonable people who try to sort of look at things from a kind of more nuanced point of view. So hopefully this is a turning point. I think it's interesting that it's happening as Neptune is now in Aries, that perhaps this is the turning point where people start to realize the damage that social media has done and start to either move their debates somewhere else or make more of a concerted effort to improve the quality of the discussion.
Well, I think big tech seems to be catching it in the neck very heavily over the next few years. And I think it has started, whatever happened recently, they've been pulling them back from what they've been doing to children in terms of allowing them to see stuff that is not sensible. So I think there is going to be a major kind of shift in terms of what is allowed. I mean, I recently have been staying with friends up here who have a vast range of right-wing, left-wing, middle of the road views, and everybody argues with everyone else and everybody gets on. And everybody leaves everybody else to their own viewpoint, you know. Yes. And it is possible.
I think Naomi Klein has some very interesting things to say about conspiracy theories. And I think she makes a good point, which is that people sense that there's something not quite right with how things are, but they can't quite put their finger on what it is. And so they get the facts wrong, so that they kind of go off on the QAnon sort of tangent. But actually, the conspiracy is right in front of them. Epstein, Trump, corruption in the American political donations process, which allows people to buy elections. It's right in front of them. But they can't see it. And to some degree, that's also because of, I think, diversion tactics by sort of propagandists, people like Steve Bannon, for example. I mean, I didn't know this, but Steve Bannon used to work for Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fascinating. So he used to be a banker. Pre-2008. I found that quite interesting. So yes, I think from the point of view of we want to sort of get information, and we want to be able to discern what's true and what isn't. I mean, I don't know about AI in this context, given the sort of Uranus into Gemini, whether that's going to split people more.
Well, I think with a bit of luck, it might bring a bit of daylight in.